I'm going to show you how to create a star filter effect in Adobe After Effects using one default plugin that's absolutely free. Hopefully you enjoy. Let's get straight into the video. Here we have a music video, and I chose this one because this effect also works on text. First, right click and create an adjustment layer, and we're going to apply this over our video. And next, where it says mode, select screen. If you don't see this, press toggle switches and you should be able to see it. Next, go over to blur and sharpen and go to CC cross blur and drag it onto your adjustment layer. Now for radius X and Y, basically it's acting as directional blur in the X position and Y position. So if you were to change X to 500, you'll see a horizontal blur because the X position affects horizontal coordinates. And if we do the same thing to Y, it'll go upwards, up and down. So all this really is directional blur, except with directional blur, you can only blur it left to right or up and down with one effect. Whereas with cross blur, it can blur up and down and left and right in one effect. Now with transfer mode, select add. You can see it gets applied to the text as well. The issue you see now is that it is very, very bright, and that's because you're basically overlaying a copy of the video on top of itself and then adding CC cross blur. What we're going to do is go and search up Lumetri color, and we're going to adjust the curves. We're going to adjust contrast so that the blacks and shadows are darker. So here I increased the contrast and added shadows, but you can also just bring the curve down as well. The issue with this method is that you can't really rotate the direction of the blur. You would have to use the directional blur method if you wanted to do that. A good workaround, however, is adding the transform effect and dragging it onto your clip. And this will allow you to scale up this adjustment layer. You can also rotate it. But the issue with this is you're going to have to scale it up a lot in order to rotate it. Now I'm going to show you a second method that gives you a little bit more flexibility, but it takes a little bit longer to apply. I actually made a drag and drop preset pack for this. So all you have to do is just add your adjustment layer and drag on the presets and change the blending mode. And there's a bunch of different variations you can play around with. So instead of adding an adjustment layer, we're going to duplicate our clip twice. So you can press Ctrl or Command C and Ctrl or Command V to duplicate. Now we're going to use directional blur and we're going to drag it onto the top two video tracks. And you want to set the top two video tracks to screen. So we're going to work with the second video track right now. We're going to type in any angle. So I'm going to just type in 45 so it goes diagonally. And for blur length, I'm going to go for 100. And for the other video track, I'm just going to do the opposite. So I'm going to do -45 and a blur length of 100 as well. So now you can see we have a diagonal crossing star filter. I'm going to right click and create an adjustment layer because you can see it gets really bright. So we're going to drag Lumetri color on, and then we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. So we're going to turn down the shadows, increase the contrast so you can see the before and after right now. If you run into the issue where certain parts of the video are too bright, or you don't want to crank down the shadows and blacks too much, what you could do is search up CC threshold RGB and drag it on top of directional blur for both of the top video clips. This will basically restrict where this effect occurs. So if I toggle this on and off, you can see what occurs. And if you want to do this for the cross blur method, just add it on the adjustment layer. But you see once I toggle on CC threshold RGB, the effect becomes way less glowy and much more sharp, if that makes sense. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you don't have Adobe After Effects yet, you guys can check the link in the description for over 60% off the entire Adobe Creative Cloud Suite if you're a student or teacher. Otherwise, check out this After Effects playlist and also subscribe for more videos just like this.